Elendu, Ukeje, member representing Bende Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, of course, I want to appreciate the mover of this motion. And of course, I also listened to the contributions by Honorable Toby. But let me state very clearly that in the last couple of months, we have seen an upsurge in this kind of motions. And as far as I'm concerned, the reasons for this are tetraheaded. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, we must recognize that the success that has been recorded in the world, in Syria, as well as in Iraq, have ensured that, in the words of the people who say, that the terrorists have been dislodged. Of course, everybody believes that terrorism or the success of terrorism is like a balloon, that when you pile pressure somewhere, all the other pressure goes down. So we have a lot of returnee jihadists who are coming back, who are going to areas, soft targets, with their arms and trying to create different hubs where they can operate from. Syria is no longer a haven for them. Iraq, of course, is getting very interesting for the rest of the world. Of course, with what is happening in Yemen as well. So we have a lot of blowback. But let me also say, Mr. Speaker, that this is also an opportunity for us to take a critical look at our climate change policy. Now, whether we like it or not, the people are moving towards water. Now, if we do not take a critical look at the Lake Chad Basin, and what is happening in the Lake Chad Basin, with the fact that, of course, there's an excuse for moving in search of water and in search of pasture, then you see that there is a lot of that as well. Now, of course, as with all people who are mobile, Genghis Khan and so on and so forth, this is not the first time it has happened. There's a scorched earth policy. With that, what am I saying? You move into a place, do something so devastating that the people run away and they take over that place for their pasture. So, of course, in history says in those days it was normal. But now the entire world is starting to see that we also see that. Let me also make the point, Mr. Speaker, sir, that as Parliament, what can we do? And I always believe that whenever we have a problem, we must find a legislative solution. I see a lot of people speaking about the Nigerian Armed Forces and saying that the Nigerian Armed Forces is probably not doing enough. But, Mr. Speaker, in appreciating the Nigerian Armed Forces, let me say that we have probably the most overstretched armed forces anywhere in the world. We have 6 areas of serious interest. We have the Nigerian Armed Forces is dealing in the Niger Delta, they're dealing in the South, they're dealing in Boko Haram, and Mr. Speaker, we just don't have enough soldiers. We don't have enough soldiers. Funding for the military is also in question. So, Mr. Speaker, as Parliament, let us appreciate the Nigerian Armed Forces. I do not believe that the Armed Forces is not doing enough or that they do not want to do enough. I think that we need to fund, we need to recruit, we need to re-energize the Nigerian Armed Forces so that they are ready for this. Also, Mr. Speaker, so there must be the differentiation between policing and the functions of the Nigerian Armed Forces. If it is the Nigerian Police Force as well that is supposed to take care of the internal problems, then let us also fund the Nigerian police to be up to its responsibilities. Let us train and retrain them. Mr. Speaker, I do not believe that there is no more that can be done, but I also think that if this is terrorism, then let us call it what it is. If it is rustling, let us call it what it is, so that we are able to engage, call it the name that it has, so that we can engage. But let me say, Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, that I believe that the 3 things that we must do as Parliament is, 1, take a look again at our climate change policy and realize that whatever we do or do not do with climate change is existential for us. It will speak about migration, it will speak about the security, it will speak about our economy. And then let us also look at the Nigerian Armed Forces, funding them and equipping them as well as the police. But, Mr. Speaker, by this motion, as I say this, I also would like to appreciate the Nigerian Armed Forces, because I believe that in spite of whatever it is that we may think, that the Nigerian Armed Forces, overstretched as it is doing what they can do in the face of everything that is going on globally with regard to terrorism and the blowback on terrorism. Thank you very much.